the fact that we would interfere in a child and a family situation to the extent that we would out their children in any way, shape, or form, and potentially bring about that kind of psychological harm to a child is absolutely anathema to me as a professional educator.
If a child gets in a fight at school, we call the parents. If a child gets caught with drugs at school, we call the parents. If the child does anything, that's...
Are you suggesting that a child's sexual orientation or transgender orientation is a disciplinary matter? Because the things that you are listing are discipline.
I'm just going to read off. I've been researching this, and this is the best thing I came up with, so I wanted us to discuss it. And it has to do with... there's this bill that another state had, we just called it whatever, but it says we need to provide that a parent or guardian has the right to be notified in writing within 3 days from the date of any teacher, counselor, or employee of the school becomes aware that a pupil is identifying at school as a gender that does not align with the child's sex on their birth certificate, official records, or sex assigned at birth. I'm not sure if we have something in place, but I would like to put something like this in place. I just wanted to get everybody's thoughts.
That is not in Tennessee state law at this time, and I would disagree wholeheartedly with doing so.
The parents should not be notified?
I would say that it is not the role of the school, and without time to further consider my response on this, I would say that it would undermine, if not destroy, the relationship between students and their teachers.
So, in essence, what we're trying to do here is just let the parents know if their child is wanting to go by, a different name.
I understand what you're saying, and my position on that is that you as a parent have a responsibility to know your child and to talk to your child and to parent your child, and that it is not the school's job to do your parenting for you and to have that relationship on your behalf. And it is the school's job to maintain a relationship, an educational relationship with the child, and that if the child does not trust the people who are their teachers, that has a significant impact on the ability of the child to learn.
What I'm saying is that we inform the parents about changing classes. That's not disciplinary. If they change their classes, we inform them, right? If there's a lot of things that we inform the parents about. I never mentioned anything about being disciplinary. What I'm saying is that we shouldn't get in the business of keeping things from parents. And this is something that parents should be told if it happens in this environment. I don't even understand how this wouldn't be something. It's common sense to me that we wouldn't tell a parent if a child comes to the school and says that. Can you explain that to me?
Well, I've been in a situation where I had a student come to me and tell me that he was really struggling at home. He was fearful. He felt comfortable talking to me and coming out to me and expressing to me how fearful he was of how he would be treated and what would happen to him in his home if he came out to his parents. And the reality was that within 6 months, he did come out to his parents, and he was kicked out of his home. So if I had reported that to those parents at that time, if I had been required to and had reported it to them, that would have been 6 less months that child was living that had a roof over his head. So I have actually been in that situation, and it absolutely is the opposite of common sense to me to interfere in that situation and in that.
How do you know if you wouldn't have went to the parents and you guys couldn't have came up with a plan and it could have worked out where they wouldn't have kicked them out in 6 months? So you can't just say that this is, your one-time situation. What I'm saying is we should never keep anything from the parents. That's my stance. That's their child. They pay their insurance. They bring them to school. They pay their food, house over their head. This is something that's very, very important and something that needs to be we need to notify them. They should know. That's why I came up with the 3 days. So it's something that, you can't come up with a plan. If they tell a teacher, you can get in touch with a counselor, you can get in touch with somebody, and you guys can come up with a plan to let the parents know and make it collaborative instead of, I have a secret that the parents don't know and I'm just hoping they never find out. That's what I want to alleviate. So you have the 3 days where if a child comes and says, hey, I'm feeling this, you meet, you talk, come up with a plan, and you reach out to the family and you try to include them in whatever direction that the family wants to go, because at the end of the day, that child belongs to the parents. It does not belong to the school system. It does not belong to the teacher, the counselor, or anyone else.
I would suggest that if a parent is so concerned about this and the potential that their child is going to come out to a teacher or request to be called by a different name, that maybe they should send their child to something other than a public educational facility.
You have to do that. They're paying taxes. You work for them, and you should have to follow the policies that the school board comes out. All I'm asking is for us to come up with something, and I might be wrong. I might get outvoted 1-6, and that's fine. But all I'm wanting to do is inform the parents of something as large as they it's a big I don't know, I'm just surprised that it's not common sense to me. I'm sorry.
It's not my job to out a person to their parents, to their peers, to other teachers. It is, and you're talking about something that has incredibly significant long-term psychiatric consequences for some people. And the idea that we would, as a system, and I'll go ahead and say that because I know that you are an advocate for parental rights and parental choice, and for people to have been able to make the choice not to have to wear a mask, for instance. So the fact that we would interfere in a child and a family situation to the extent that we would out their children in any way, shape, or form, and potentially bring about that kind of psychological harm to a child is absolutely anathema to me as a professional educator. It is the opposite of my responsibility to that child and to their educational environment for them to be educated in a safe space, a non-judgmental space. It is not for me to decide whether, they have crossed a line and asking to be called by a different name or anything. It is not for me to judge anything about their presentation of themselves. I do agree that it is something that parents should be paying attention to and that parents should know about. But that's the parent's responsibility to form a relationship with their child, that their child trusts them to be able to work with them through all of the very difficult psychological situations that coming out, either whether it's coming out in their sexual orientation or coming out as trans, involves. And I don't think that outing students is a job or a role that any educational organization has a responsibility to be in.